think that, to get out of our Kansas fishbowl, let's say, and elevate us more to a nationals probably. So in storytelling, what we need to do is our case studies need to go out. We need to go out to different conferences and talk about what Kansas City brings to the table. The companies that are here, the solopreneurs that are here. We've got phenomenal startups here. And those stories have to be told. And in order to do that, we have to elevate each other. Not compete with each other, but elevate each other and bring it to the national voice, not just the Kansas City voice. Thanks.
Hey, Simon Bowe from Kansas City. Just a quick question. I'm wondering if the panelists feel like there's a long tail opportunity here from bloggers. And what I mean by that is, if timing of getting the story out first isn't the differentiator anymore, and yet you have all these people some of whom have spent 10,000 hours or more doing certain things, and they're very, very knowledgeable about those things. Nothing against journalists, because I think they're really intelligent. They spend a lot of time learning journalism, but there's the opportunity for people who know a lot more about the topic to contribute a specific view because of the depth of their knowledge. And I think doesn't that become a differentiator?
So, what's the question? I mean, it's a good point. I think it's a really good point.
I'm asking, do you think there's a substantial long tail opportunity that will extend beyond maybe just, hey, I'm blogging for free. I have this depth of knowledge and I can leverage that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's what you're seeing right now is this flight to quality. So while everyone can publish, and this democracy of these platforms now, social media, exists, that doesn't mean you need to listen to everybody. Just because it's a good idea, just because you think you have a good idea, doesn't mean it's a good idea. And so this flight to quality model is really starting to play out because what is happening, even in the social media space, because it's so new, you've got a lot of people who are just lame, right? And then you've got people who really know their stuff and can back it up and actually are living and breathing and eating and consuming it every single day. And because it's so new, it's hard to determine that flight to quality. And I think from a blog content creation standpoint here in the community, that's sort of like vetting itself out still. But I do agree with that. I absolutely do.
I don't have too much on this, but I like what Shea said about building the community, because I think in essence, I don't want to contradict anyone in particular, but I think in essence, I think the future is that if we take advantage of the technology that's at our fingertips, 5 years from now, Facebook will be the next MySpace, and there will be something else that we'll all be raving about and talking about. I think if we really do take advantage of the technology that's available with personal publishing and whatnot, then we see that all audiences in all markets become niche markets. So, I mean, somebody may not care about what's happening in Kansas City and Oslo. I don't really care about Oslo. And I see, there is no more Walter Cronkite. He's gone. And it used to be, you turn on the TV, there's 3 stations, and you trusted Walter Cronkite the most. He's long gone, and that era is over. And so we see every market, everyone being a niche market. And in that niche market, unless you're dealing with really, really great numbers, long tail opportunities or advertising or monetize, this was a big word 2 years ago, ability to monetize doesn't become that big of a deal.
I have a question over here.
Hi. So, just since this is kind of community-based and to make things more specific, and I think this is something that Shea can relate to, I just moved from another city to Kansas City yesterday, and I wanted to know, I have my own ideas, but how do you think, or what are tips for people to get involved in the social networks in Lawrence, Wichita, Kansas City, for people who aren't really familiar with the area? How do you think people can start to get involved without just making a lot of noise and being that annoying kid who's like, look at me, I don't want to be that kid. I want to, get involved, I guess.
You need to talk to people like Zena. Seriously, sorry, I totally grabbed the mic from you. But, one thing, in terms of just getting to know people, one of the things that I can instantly read when I first meet people is whether or not they're what I call a connector or a conduit. Zena is an incredible conduit and connector, meaning she points people in the right directions.
I gave him 100 before this. So.
But anyway, talk to Zena.
There are people who connect, there are threaded people, and those are the people I think that thrive in social, and that's why I love it so much. But honestly, you cannot hide behind the keyboard. You have to get out there, you have to meet. So you're new to Kansas City, that means get involved with the social media club. It means if the social media club isn't your thing, there are blogger meetups and tweet-ups and things like that. So it's getting you, yourself, your body to those things, not hiding behind the keyboard. I mean, the keyboard is a great way to connect when you can't be there. And me, as a mother of 4, I can hardly be there ever at all. And there's usually a kid in tow when I'm there. But still, I mean, you've got to put the effort in, and it'll come back 20-fold. And it's supporting that community. But to support the community, you have to be involved.
Actually, I have a comment on this. Actually, I think you and I were connected earlier by someone that we know, so there you go. I think so much of this is really like what you make of it. When you move to a new place and you don't know anyone, really all the power is in your hands. You make it what you want it to be. The reason that I'm sitting here right now, I think a lot of it is due to the people that I met way back, like 5 years ago when I first moved to Wichita and I was blogging. The Kansas City blogging community like took me in as the lone Wichitan, kind of into their own crew. And actually, I'm starting a new job on Monday with Cerner. A lot of my new coworkers are there. So hi guys. And the reason that I even learned about the role is because I was recommended by someone that I know from blogging 5 years ago, who then I began to know in social media, and who I've never met in person, but I consider a friend, and who has connected me with, you know, all kinds of other people. So it's like once you kind of get in with a couple of people and make friends, it feels like the people who are really open to social media want to help. They want to point you in the right direction. But it really, the first step is yours, and you have to really want it. And if you do, you'll find a way.
Okay, we had another, you still have your question? Yeah, you guys in the blue shirt. You raised your hand earlier.
Okay, now that I am the guy with the blue shirt. My name is Zach Cobb. I'm from Westside Studios in Kansas City, and this is mainly for Tony. Your blog is extremely controversial. It's talked about a lot in the city. There's a lot of conversations going back and forth about it. And it's really interesting because you're kind of a lightning rod. I mean, there's some people in this city that just hate you with the fire of 1,000 suns. And so, but a lot of times, my perspective is, it's a really interesting site because through not liking you, people consume more news than they ever would have about Kansas City in the process.
So why is it controversial for people who don't know it?
Okay, go to Tony'sKansasCity.com. Basically, just think about taking like any bit of news from a certain place and putting a negative, pessimistic spin on it and throw some kind of scantily clad girls around too. That's pretty much the website, but it really is the most incredible source of news in Kansas City. You can't get a better archive of it. And so, was that on purpose pretty much, or did that form into that? How did that all come about?
I think that was, thank you, by the way. But I think it revolves, I've practiced journalism. I've worked for 2 community newspapers. I've worked for Dos Mundos and KC Hispanic in Kansas City. And what always frustrated me is the ability, and what I like about the blog, is the ability to be a storyteller. And I realize as not a journalist, but a storyteller, I can be the bad guy. And it's always been, that character in a story is always more interesting to me, as far as being the bad guy. And as far as being the lightning rod, and someone said, meeting people, be careful meeting people through the internet. Seriously, Ramsey's a good guy, but he puts himself out there. There's a definite risk. I knew Ramsey. I saw him at the grocery store, and he's a great guy. He's a nice person, but not everybody. And what I do is I play a character on my site, and I do serve as a lightning rod, and I think that that's part of the discussion. And thank you. I think that's right. It does spark more discussion and more interest, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish. But and that serves my purpose. As far as people online and meeting them, just once again, be careful.